What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the FILA Sports Podcast. Here with your boy, Coach Mario, the real one, baby, on Twitter, and my partner in crime, the Don. And we have a special guest this week. We're gonna be talking some Braves baseball, but on our show, everybody introduces themselves. What's going on, Don?
What's good, man? Oh, I'm trying to keep it together. All this pollen is beating my behind up. I know other people who have allergies, fighting allergies. I know it's rough for y'all right now, especially if you live in Georgia. So,
I was
but
struggling last Sunday.
oh yeah,
Last Sunday show, I was struggling.
who you telling, man? Me going to
um,
Atlanta yesterday and coming back here to South Georgia. That pretty much didn't help me at all. So, but
uh, go ahead, Don.
Oh, I'm glad everybody can, whoever's watching live, I'm glad y'all could join us. If you're watching this show, hour, day, our video, please, hit that like button. Please, comment, share with your friends, any, Atlanta sports fanatics. And also, please hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that, and once again, come holla at your
At your
hometown
hometown sports podcast.
We'll get
Joining
started.
us today,
We have a special guest tonight. We're gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, I'm Kris Willis from TalkingChop.com, SB Nation Atlanta Braves site. I really appreciate you guys having me.
we appreciate you coming on. Kris, where else can they find you and read your stuff at?
You can find me at, like I said, TalkingChop.com. I'm on Twitter at Kris_Willis, and that's Kris with a K, KRIS_Willis. But that's about where I'm at right now. Is Talking Chop keeps me busy. Braves baseball's back, so I was really glad to get back busy again. So
I was trying to get you to drop the Twitter handle because a lot of our listeners and followers are Twitter based. That's what I was trying to get you to do.
gotcha.
Well, Kris, we always start off every show with a quick rundown of the past week in Atlanta sports. So we'll get right back. We'll get right into it. I guess, Don, I can start. I'll start with the Hawks. Tuesday, the Hawks took on the Pelicans. We got the win there, 120 to 130. Friday, we were in Portland. I'm sorry, we're at home against Portland, and we dropped that one 118 to 98. And we had an early game today against the Bucks. And
Ice Tree.
Trey TL. I heard that one today. That was a new one I hadn't heard. Trey TL. He didn't have a great game, but he was able to make a shot at the buzzer, a rebound, and threw it back up, and we were able to win that one 135 to 136. Once again, I say it every week, the Hawks, we can score some points. We can score some points, man, and we can just maybe some kind of way focus on defense a little bit because we score.
But John Collins, he's been getting better with his defense though. That's a great sign right there as well. But you got a lot of fans out there, who's upset because we're not losing enough games to get the first round. Like, these are professionals. We said this with the Falcons. These are professionals. These people get paid to win. They're competitors. No one's going to sit there and just take L's for no reason. Wherever spot we get the draft at, that's what we get. If we don't get Zion Williamson, okay, that's fine. We have a lot of cap. We have a lot of money, to sign free agencies. Now you see Trae Young, John Collins, and other players who playing good. Free agents, they're going to want to come to Atlanta now.
I have to do a quick soapbox, 30 seconds. Everybody who's watching this, if you want professional players to intentionally lose, you're dumb. They don't get paid for losing. Why would you go try to be bad at your job? The better at your job, the more money you get. They have endorsements and all kinds of things. Thinking that they're going to go out there and intentionally play bad, if you think that, you're dumb. Why would you do that? It affects them negatively. But anyway, I got to move on. Okay. So, well, that was it on the Hawks. The season will be wrapping up next week. But yeah, they're tanking in Dallas. I don't believe in tanking. Play to win. Yeah. What the Legends do today, Don?
What they don't do. That's the question.
We didn't get blown out today.
Yeah, we didn't. 17-9. That was our score. Pretty much Young Ho Koo's pretty much going to be the team MVP for the Legends.
He hadn't missed all year. Yeah, hadn't missed a kick all year.
Haven't missed. Hey, you know, he may end up getting the NFL.
Definitely.
So
he'll be in. Expect to see him in the NFL somewhere next year, and some late in the season when some kicker in one of those northern states get one of those tight hammies trying to kick in 12-degree weather like they always do. You'll see Young Ho Koo. Moving along, Atlanta United done dropped it 2-0 against Columbus the other day. It was terrible, rainy game, but both teams played in it. Right now, the Legends, reminding me of the Legends now. Atlanta United, we haven't won a game this year. We haven't won a game. We're still over.
Well, we won a game, not just in MLS, you know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You're right.
Like,
You're right.
or he hasn't won an MLS game outright since he became our coach. And that right there seems like a problem. Like I said, you know, we'll see. Like I am irritated, but I'm gonna give it a couple more months. I'm gonna see to like the beginning of May and see what this team can actually do under him. So
we're having the Falcons news this week, Don?
No big news, but just reports came out, you know, speculating that the team is gonna probably move up in the draft to the Lions' 8th pick. Everybody's pretty much keep screaming Ed Oliver, and you know, everybody who's been listening to us, especially listening to me, you know where I stand on the Ed Oliver situation. I really feel like he's going to be a great player, but that's something that we don't really. He's not what we need. Yeah. You know, I'm not gonna really get into details with that, but I don't see us move. I don't see us trading up. Why trade up and you losing picks? Dan Quinn already said a problem with the team the past couple of seasons is depth. And if we trade away picks, we pretty much going to be in the same situation we was in the past couple of seasons, not enough depth.
Yeah. I'll save mine as well. Next week we're gonna have a basketball heavy show previewing next week's show. Next week Final Four and NBA playoffs. So the week after that we'll talk heavy for the draft. So I'll save mine for about 2 weeks. Braves, and we'll segue into the topic for tonight and let Kris talk. Braves spring training. We had spring training. Monday we came back home and were able to play in SunTrust. Still spring training. We had Cincinnati 5-8 on Monday, and Tuesday, of course, we played Cincinnati again 5-7. Braves dropped that one. And
Braves won that one.
I'm sorry, I reversed them. Yes. Opening day was Thursday, though. We had Philadelphia. We lost the game 10-4. I watched the whole game. Able to get up early. And then Julio had a rough 4th inning and then came off the hinges late, as we have been apt to do. We dropped that one. And then yesterday we had the Phillies again. Bryce Harper got his first hit as a Philly, and it was a big one. Braves, we gave up a grand slam in our opener as well. And we also gave up a opening day leadoff home run. Bryce Harper yesterday hit a grand slam. And actually, Braves, like I say, almost like the Hawks, scoring some points. We have to keep the other team from scoring, and it's not necessarily the fielding that's doing it, in my opinion. And right now, the Braves are playing right now. I checked right before the score. We were in the bottom of the second. It was 0-0, so I don't have it on right now. I flipped. But that leads us to right now. Where are we right now?
In the bottom of the first. 2 outs. 2 outs. The bases are loaded. So it's 0-2 pitch. foul ball. Anyways, but yeah, the problem, like I said before, I just think we don't have the pitchers. We don't have the pitchers, and we don't have the bullpen. So that's going to segue to what we're going to talk about tonight. I guess Kris, I guess if you guys have anything to say, what do you think about the Braves opening the season on the road against Philadelphia?
Oh yeah, you guys hit on it. I think the concern coming in, a lot of people were upset about the slow off season and a little bit of their inactivity. And I was kind of in the camp that I unless it was one of the very few top of the rotation arms, I wasn't really forgetting a starter. But that bullpen, you've seen it the first two nights here. There's some injuries down there that's made the situation a little worse. But I think that's a concern. And until you get AJ Minter back and Darren O'Day, and even when you do, it's probably going to continue to be a concern. Because they just haven't done a lot to address that situation. And it's kind of, I don't want to read too much into the first two games either. The Philadelphia had a big off season. They're excited. We're on the road. It's a long season. But again, when you're throwing Luke Jackson out there on opening day, late in a game, where you just cut the deficit 3 runs, and then he's given up a grand slam there, that sends up warning flags, and it, just adds fuel to the fire. Because like I said, this offseason, I thought they made a big splash with Josh Donaldson, but they really didn't address the bullpen. And I think if you had polled a lot of people at the end of last season what their biggest weakness was, I think a lot of people would have told you the bullpen. So I'm kind of anxious to see how they're going to do tonight.
This is my issue, and Kris, a big part of our show is we're the hometown sports podcast. So I've been here. Hey, I saw Bob Horner. I saw, what I'm saying? I remember when there was nobody at the stadium. I remember as a kid sitting right behind home plate with my dad. Like, we got these seats really from walk up, that I remember that Fulton County Stadium. Mm-hmm. So I also remember Ted Turner owning the Braves. And, Ted Turner pretty much told us that, hey, this is how much I'm going to spend. We're going to be the best team for this amount. When Liberty Media owned the team, pretty much told us the same thing. Hey, we're going to spend this amount. The issue that I have last season is they led us to believe, and you know where I'm about to go. They led us to believe that they were going to be players this offseason. And then when the fans started to complain, you heard, well, that's not exactly what we said. So I wouldn't have been upset if they didn't tease me like we were going to be buyers this offseason. And we surprised people by winning, even ourselves, by winning 90 last year. It seems like we have a good young core, and it doesn't seem like we're being aggressive enough to go win the championship. In August or late July, we're going to be aggressive and try to make that move, or we're standing pat with this payroll.
I mean, that's a great question, and I think you hit on all the criticisms. I think personally, I just rather them not said anything at all.
Exactly.
But I will say this: at the time, just because I had looked at the salaries from last year, I think they had nearly $30 million in dead money last year. With Scott Kazmir, Matt Kemp, some of those, Brandon McCarthy, some of those guys that were coming off the payroll. And I wondered then if they were going to say, hey, we don't have any dead money, so technically we're still spending more money on this group than we did last year, which is kind of, to me, it's kind of deceiving a little bit. And they haven't said that, but that's something I think that hasn't really been pointed out. But I agree. I know if you get me wrong, if we ended last season and you said, hey, they're going to go out and sign Josh Donaldson, man, I would have been happy because I think that's a legit pickup. I think people, because he signed so early, I think a lot of people kind of forget, that he would have been one of the biggest names out there. But again, it felt like the problems were on the bullpen side or the pitching staff. You know, you've got all these young guys. So I mean, there's holes there that could be filled. Now, I think you asked a question. I'm not sure anybody knows the answer other than those guys in the front office. You know, they've got the pieces apparently to go make a trade. They've got a lot of young guys, and one thing about it, they're throwing a lot of them into the fire. So they should get a good look at them. I think they got some value. They ought to be able to make a trade if they want to. It just comes right down to it. How much salary can they take on? We've been told they can take on some. You know, I think there'll be moves to be made after a lot of teams fall out of the race. But, you know, I mean, I think you're crazy. I predicted this was going to be a busy offseason and an interesting offseason for the Braves. And then after Donaldson signed, it was just pretty much a letdown, you know, and that's about the only way you can describe it. So, you know, I mean, that's going to be the dominating storyline, I think, for this whole season, especially if the team struggles, is everybody's just going to point back to, you know, not what they did this offseason, but what they didn't do.
Yeah. And I mean, especially with every team, well, besides the Marlins, well, I'll say the Phillies and the Mets were aggressive in the offseason. I'm not buying the Mets. They just spend a lot of money. But, you know, the Phillies, I mean, it's almost like we're going to play the Phillies, 19 times this year?
Exactly.
Well, 17 times more.
Right.
They have a killer lineup. They have guys who are batting 8th in their lineup now, who 2 years ago were batting 2nd in their lineup. I mean, if we're not going to load up on arms, you know, it's like I don't know. It's almost like, do they believe in the team? You know, it's almost like I'm frustrated, as you can see, Kris.
No doubt. And I mean, I think you know, and I think there's something to be said. They're betting on their young core, and you know, and I wrote this last week. I honestly think this team's going to be better in the long run. This team's going to be better than it was last year, but it may win 4 less games just because the Phillies are better, the Mets are better. You know, the Nationals lose Bryce Harper, but they've got Juan Soto they can plug right into right field. And then they go out and sign Patrick Corbin. You know, so I mean, they didn't stand pat either. So you know, I think that just because the division's better, our record may not be as good this year. You know, I think it's admirable to bet on young core, but at some point you're going to have to fortify it because there's still some holes there. You know, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of felt like they arrived a year early.
I said the same thing last season too.
Yeah, I believe the Braves feel like that. I believe the organization even feels like that.
Well, you know, but at the same time, I've been saying this as well. Like, we're not going. We still fooling ourselves. If we think we're a World Series team with the squad we have now, and with the squad we have, we're not. We're not. We are a wild card team at best. Wild card team at best. The division sucked last. East sucked last year. We won the division. All right, cool. But when I said that we was gonna go into the play, we weren't gonna go far because we couldn't compete with the Dodgers. Like, we didn't have it. They got a great pitching squad. The Dodgers got a great pitching squad. We didn't have that. We have hitters, but at the same time, if you go against a team who has like great pitching, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win those games. And we have a lot of young talent. And like you just said, Kris, we're gonna have to pretty much make some big splashes. I really feel like we good. We just need to get some. If we want to get better, we have to get some people in the bullpen. And this leads to my next question: do you think we're going to invest in the bullpen sometime this season or next year or this off season? You know, in 2019.
Well, I mean, the biggest question out there is, you know, Craig Kimbrell's still hanging over everybody. You know, and I mean, that's an upgrade. I don't care. You know, some people think that Kimbrell started to show a few cracks last year in the postseason, but if you drop him in right now, this Braves bullpen, you know, he's automatically the best arm down there. But now I have no idea what's going on with him. You know, how he is still available today.
Well,
I don't know. But to answer your question, yeah, I think if they want to stay in the race, at some point you're going to see them. They're going to have to, or they're going to have to take guys like Max Fried and Luis Gohara, perhaps, or some of these young guys, and they're going to have to transition them to full-time relief roles, and they're going to have to hit a home run. They're just going to be banking on that young core, filling those holes internally. But I'm like you guys, I would rather see them, go out and make a couple of moves here to fortify this team. Perhaps maybe you wait a month or so in. But you got to be careful about that because, you can bury yourself early too. So,
yeah. And I believe, Kimbrough certainly would help. But right now, it seems like our middle relief is the biggest problem. So we can't. We wouldn't even be seeing Kimbrough now because we can't even keep it close enough to bring him in the game.
We're not even
Time out. Dansby Swanson almost got hit by a pitch.
Hey,
now they walking him.
You messed me up because I was about to have a great segue into Dansby, man. God, why'd you do that?
Well,
so I'm still about to use it, man.
He got hit. Well,
I've been thinking about this all day. I'm about to still use it. So
bases loaded, by the way.
Messed it up, Don. My thing is, if we are going to go to the World Series, Dansby Swanson will have to hit 285, 20-plus bombs, and drive in 70-plus runs from that 8th spot. And that's big from a guy who hasn't done anything close to that. But if Dansby Swanson can do that, this team can go to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I guess a lot of teams, if their 8th hitter would do that, they could go to the World Series.
Yeah. Hey, the thing about it, I know Dansby's caught a lot of flack over the last couple of years. He was, I think, kind of unfairly, he was kind of the face of this rebuild early on. They plastered him all over the billboards and rushed him to the majors, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, he probably shouldn't have jumped straight from AA. But, I pull for the guy. I still do. I really believe, he was on his way to having a good season before that wrist injury last year. Made so many strides defensively because, coming into last year, you really had to worry about that. Yeah. And, if you're not going to hit and you can't play your position defensively, you're not going to have a job long.
Exactly.
So, I'm really excited. I thought he looked pretty good in spring. He's looked pretty good in these couple of games, he's the guy I'm pulling for probably as hard as anybody, just because I know how much criticism he's taken. Yeah. Johan Camargo coming out of nowhere, I think, has just put more pressure on Dansby, and that's not done him a lot of favors either. And, I think a prolonged slump for him this year, and you're going to hear those same whispers again. So
it's almost like, this is the first time I'm gonna publicly say this, but I've been thinking it for a while. Man, I think Dansby is gonna end up being Frenchie a little bit, and Jeff Francoeur was a local kid, a kid who I pulled for. I was hoping, Jason Hayward, I was hoping these local kids would come through and be the star. And just like you, Dansby Swanson, you're the first pick of the draft. You're the first pick of the draft. You were first pick of the draft of a successful franchise. So I believe that the pressure is unfair. Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna and Comanche are the best things that could have ever happened, I believe, to Dansby Swanson. Because right now you have other young guys who are performing, who are doing good, and it takes some of the pressure off. So hopefully with some of the pressure off, because last year, especially with the emergence of the young guys, it seems like we're hearing less about, well, he's the first pick of the draft, first pick of the draft. So hopefully that'll take some pressure off Dansby and he can just go play.
But the thing is with Dansby, he was his problem last year was hitting. All right. Mm-hmm. Dude is a great fielder. Let's not count that out. Like, ever since he moved up from AA, he's been doing well at that shortstop position. It's just like I said, that wrist. He had problems with his wrist last season. He got it corrected, and we now seeing what he can do.
Yeah. It's only thing about it is if you're gonna be drafted number 1, you have to be the best defensive guy. Or if you're gonna be drafted number 1, you have to be at least a 3-2 guy. You have to at least be able to hit a little bit, field a little bit, and run a little bit. So you have to excel at one. So hopefully right now he can be okay at several. The bat has to come around a little bit though. Definitely. So Kris, do you think that it's one of those it's much to do because it's 2 games, and are we overreacting about the bullpen? It's been 2 games. Should we react, or is it no panic button? Let's hit the button. Should we be hitting the button?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to note that it's a long season.
Exactly.
I know people remember opening day last year. Nick Markakis hit that grand slam to win the thing, and it did feel like that the Braves, that kind of set the tone for the whole season. But you also got to remember the Red Sox got just trounced in their opener last year and won the World Series. So it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So. I think it's kind of important to keep that perspective, but I also don't think that you can just simply dismiss this bullpen because, as we've seen, particularly until you get AJ Minter and maybe Darren O'Day back down there, there's some holes in that spot, so I don't think it's something you just completely forget about. It'll be interesting to see what they do when Foltynewicz and Gausman are back in the rotation. If they send a couple of those starters to AAA, if they move Max Fried to the bullpen, things like that could help in the long run. But I'd say yes and no. I wouldn't get too caught up in 2 losses or even an opening sweep. But you want to see some good things here soon, and and just remember, just to kind of because you just don't want to get buried early.
Oh. I just got a text question. How many guys do we think will go over 30 home runs for the Braves this year? Over 30. That's a big number. Over 30. Over 30. I would say over 30. Maybe Freddie. Not sure Acuna will go over 30.
I think Acuna's going to go over 30.
Yeah, to go over 30, people have to understand, too. You have to see some pitches. So it's tough for a guy – it's tough for Acuna, Donaldson, Freddie, all to go over 30. I would say just 2. I don't see we have 3 or 4 guys to go to 30.
I would say Acuna, and I would say this is a hot take. I'm gonna say Dansby. He's been really doing well this season. We're at 2 home runs already. The rate he's going, if he's hitting 2 home runs a week, like
coming out of spring, he was actually hitting a couple bombs coming out of spring too. So if you had those,
that's what I'm saying. Dansby can potentially get 30 or more, and Acuna, he's gonna start warming up eventually. He's gonna start having his
Yeah. I want to say Freddie, but we all know that Freddie. It's tough for Freddie to stay in the lineup, but if Freddie is to stay healthy, we know Freddie can reach 30 as well. What do you think, Kris?
I'd say 2, and I think it'll be 2 of Acuna, Freeman, or Donaldson.
Yeah,
that'd be the thing. It just depends on how many games Donaldson plays, but I think Acuna's going to get there, and I think Acuna may get some MVP votes
definitely
by the end of the season. So
he could be a 30-30 guy because he's definitely still 30-30. Man, we'd be a 30-30 guy. Have we had a 30-30 guy? I know we had a couple 20-20 guys in Atlanta.
Ron Gant's probably the last one that
Ron Gant, okay, yeah, and I know we had a couple 20-20s. Yeah, Ron Gant, man, we had a 30-30 high guy because most of our guys here who get 30 bombs, Fred McGriff didn't do much base stealing. Fred McGriff didn't have any knees. So that would be interesting. Next question I got was the winner, Tayron. Do we have a 20-game winner? No, I don't see a 20-game winner here. Hopefully, hope Julio can win us 16, 17, but I don't think we have a 20. Well, in 20 win guys goes a lot with defense as well. But if you're gonna throw beach balls out there, it's tough for your defense to make plays for you. But I don't know if we have a 20-win guy on this season, and it would have to be somebody at the top of rotation. What you guys see? You guys see 20?
I don't know. Not with a pitching we got. No, I'm just being honest. We don't. Julio, if he can get 16, that'd be good.
Yeah,
that'd be great for him. But that's about it.
What do you think, Kris? What do you think?
I think they're going to start too many guys. I just don't think the guys are going to make enough starts. I think you're going to see a young guy in there a lot just to give him an extra day of rest. Folte, the year he had last year, he could conceivably have done it. But I don't put a lot of stock in the win stat anymore either. It just pitchers don't go as long anymore.
It's an all-star game stat.
Yeah, I'd rather focus elsewhere, but I just think the Braves are going to have too many different guys make starts that any one of them, gets enough to even get close to that number.
All right, so we coming home next week for a home stand. Will we get a W tonight, and will we get any wins next week?
I mean, at some point you got to, right? It's a long season. Hopefully Kyle Wright, makes us feel a little bit better leaving Philadelphia tonight. And then, but then you get the Cubs, Chicago.
Doesn't get easier.
It's crazy. You hear Cub fans, they talk about how disappointing last year was, and then you look and they won 95 games.
Exactly.
That's a good club too. And then I think it's the Marlins over the weekend. So, I'd like to see them play. I'd like to see them play a little better baseball. They, like you said earlier, they've scored some runs, but they just haven't, they haven't been able to stop anybody yet. So, you'd like to see that pitching staff just do a little better, pitch a little deeper into games. Maybe we don't have to worry about those relievers in the 5th and the 6th quite as much, and maybe we can get down to the back end and the results will be better.
Yeah. All right. And those are the text questions I had. I didn't see any Twitter questions done. Did you get any questions?
Nope, I didn't get anything. Just an update right now in the game. 3-1 pitch and foul ball. It's the bottom of the second. So we had the bases loaded in the top of the second, and we didn't do anything with that. So.
Man, as a pitcher, as a former pitcher, bases loaded, dude. Now, oh my God, what are you doing? No, when your team has the bases loaded and they don't capitalize, you're like, what are you guys doing? Come on, can't get the bases loaded, then send me back out there, and you guys didn't get any runs.
Kyle Wright just struck somebody out, so it's his 3rd strikeout tonight. So he's been doing okay.
All right, so Kris. Can you let them know once again where to find you at and where to read your stuff at?
Sure. You can find me at talkingchop.com. I'm on Twitter, Kris with a K _ Willis, and then also the at talkingchop account on Twitter as well. We'll be there all season. It's a good community of people, and I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to be on here with you.
Yeah, thank you. I got to tell everybody, man. I was a baseball kid. I grew up, man. I was that kid with the glove on in center field before I even knew had any business out there. The glove was bigger than me. I was raised at a baseball park. Got away from baseball, man, because I just got disinterested. But I'm telling everybody, this Braves team is fun and exciting to watch. They are young. They have some great athletes. This team is exciting to watch. If you are a fan of baseball and you've gone away from it and you want to get back into it, check out this Braves team. I'm telling you, they have some young talent. They have some guys that'll do something that'll make you say, wow, every night. So if you're looking for a team to get into baseball, check out this Braves team. They have some, like I say, some talent on this team. They have 3 or 4 MVP type guys on this team. Check out the Braves team if you guys getting into baseball. What you got, Don?
Yeah. Well, just like I said, Braves coming back tomorrow, coming home tomorrow. So, guys, hometown listeners, go support the team. Go support the team. I know SunTrust can't be filled up a lot every single game because you got to think about they play about 80 some home games a year, and that's a lot. And during the weekday, games the stadium's not going to be filled up.
7:05.
Exactly. People just getting off work and stuff like that. But these weekend games, go out, and support the team. I just bought a ticket for a Braves game. I didn't spend that much money. I spent $15 on a ticket. That's not, you're not breaking the bank with $15.
Soon we're gonna get a press credential. Soon, me and you're gonna get a press credential. Soon. It's coming soon.
What you say?
Soon, me and you are going to get a press credential. It's coming soon.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. We're gonna be going to games then and sitting there and analyzing everything.
Sneaking food.
Yes.
All right. But thanks everybody for joining in. Make sure you check us out this week. Like I say, preview next week. We'll be talking a lot of basketball. Follow and check out Kris on Twitter. Follow my homeboy Don on Twitter. He changes his Twitter name all the time. Who are you now on Twitter, Don?
Nobody. I'm not on there.
Coach.
I do operate the FILA Sports podcast Twitter account. So follow us there.
Get in trouble.
Yeah, follow us there follow us there on Twitter. And also, like I said, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're planning on, a Facebook pages in the works. And hopefully down the road, we probably might do an Instagram page. We don't know. We'll see. We are growing our brand. The brand is pretty much created for all, Atlanta sports fanatics. So, hey, we're here for you guys, and we just want you guys to continue to support us and, share with your friends and let them know that, hey, this is a legit, podcast for all Atlanta sports. We just don't sit here just talk about one team. We talk about every team. Every week is a different topic. One week we might talk about the Braves, next week we might talk about the Hawks, next week we might talk about the Falcons. It just all depends. But we love our teams. We love all of our teams, and we want you guys to continue to pretty much, support us.
And done. The last thing they have to do is come holla at your hometown sports podcast.
Got it. Yeah.
We out.
All right. Y'all have a great Sunday evening. It's I believe it's top of the third. So, go and tune in to the game. I believe it's on ESPN2, but they may go back to ESPN and show the game live because I guess the Cubs game overlapped the time slot. So
yeah, I'm about to go turn it on myself.
All right. Thank you, Kris, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me.
All right. I'll let y'all. Night.